follow your curiosity and it will lead you where you're supposed to be. And for me, when I started hypnosis, for example, I told people it's like a passion for me. It's not like something I will do for a living. I discovered that changing myself is already good, but changing my system is my family system, because we are all part of a system called the family first. I really feel that we can change a lot of things in the society when we change things in family because it's systemic.
Welcome to Blisstopia podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Castellani, life purpose coach, business owner, and your spiritual guide on all things mindset, manifestation, and purpose. This podcast is a space for deep reflections, meaningful conversations to help you expand your mind, dive into the depths of your soul, and create a life that makes you feel alive. Whether you're walking, driving, or simply vibing, take a deep breath and get ready to dive. Hello, my love. Welcome to another episode of Blisstopia podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Castellani, and I'm so happy to be recording this episode. Today, we're going to talk about family constellations. You know, guys, that I love all of the different methodologies, spiritual methodologies that we can use to really grow, really understand ourselves at the deepest levels. And family constellations, in my opinion, is one of the most powerful tools out there. So I decided to bring an expert in the matter to walk us through all of this methodology because it's very deep. There's so many things to understand. So our guest today is Marine Duteil. Marine is a hypnosis and family constellations expert. She practices family and systemic constellations. We're going to ask her what's the differences between those two. And she guides group constellations during retreats, events, or individual sessions. She also offers training programs for those who want to go even further into the matter. After studying in a top French business school, ESCP, and getting a coaching certification, she trained herself in humanist hypnosis, advanced symbolic therapy, transgenerational work, and psychogenealogy. And fun fact, actually, Marine and I, we studied in the same business school in France.
Yes.
But
Amazing.
we didn't meet in the business school. I recently found out that we had actually studied in the same business school. But we met because one of my dream clients, Eloise, who will probably listen to this episode, did a constellations with her. And she shared with me how powerful it had been. And I was actually looking for a constellation expert and I couldn't find the right person for me. And when I heard about Marine, I was like, okay, this is my person. Let's do a constellations with her. And I absolutely love it. It was so powerful. So I am so happy and honored to have you, Marine, on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here. And yeah, it warms my heart that, someone arrived and told you it was so powerful and then you jumped on the train and now we're here talking about family constellation today.
Exactly. And we have so many things to talk because this topic is so deep. It's literally, I've tried hypnosis, family constellations, Reiki, you name it, human design, the whole thing, everything that I've found out there. I'm very curious, very also spiritually curious. And family constellations is one of those things that you're like, every time I finish the family constellation, I always had this feeling, something happened. I cannot really put into words what happened, but something happened. So I have many questions for you. And I know that the listeners in the Blisstopia community are going to be very curious about all of this. So let's rewind a little bit back in time. Back in the days, back in 2021, you had a corporate job in a French fintech. So what made you quit that job and become now a hypnosis and family constellation expert?
Yes. Well, actually, I started doing hypnosis after a coaching certification that I had in 2016. And from at this point, I was really doing hypnosis session on the side of my other job, which was a coaching in the fintech industry. And I loved it so much. It was bringing me, so much sense to my life. And I also like to have the comfort of having, a job next to it. So I was doing both, and hypnosis was becoming more and more important in my life and in my agenda as well. And in 2020, as everyone knows, COVID happened. And I found myself with very few things to do in my corporate jobs because we were working with phone payments on events. And as you know, all events were done at the time. And at the same time, a lot of people needed help on a psychological terms. And also a lot of companies had really a lot of demands regarding, their employees and the need for them to feel good, even though they were at home. So it had just happened that my corporate job was not that much important at the time, and hypnosis became more and more important. And I found myself with really this feeling of being so full with what I was doing and, so enriched and wealthy in that term.
Mm.
And I decided to switch and be 100% going with hypnosis. Before 2020, I had done family constellation already and found that the subject was so interesting. And it became also more and more important while I switched completely. It was like I didn't have really the choice, It felt like I had to go 100% towards this because yeah, COVID had some kind of magic with that, and everything that was not really important set aside. And I felt the urge, the call really to go 100%. So that's what I did.
And I think it first starts as a whisper from our intuition, an
Yes.
interest in something, a curiosity in something. You can just read about this topic, you can just learn about this topic, and it's there. And it starts like a little whisper, but then at some point it's a scream. It's like you have no, like your whole body is telling you
Right.
where to go, what to do. At least that
Mm.
was my experience coming from the world of marketing. When I started doing all of this coaching, helping women, and all of this, first it was like this little whisper that was telling me, it's not the wine, it's not here, it's not here. And then it was like, no, we need to change. It's this other thing that gives you energy, that it's like a lot more, you just feel alive, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Follow your curiosity and it will lead you where you're supposed to be. And for me, when I started hypnosis, for example, I told people it's like a passion for me. It's not like something I will do for a living. And then it became more and more what I would do for a living. So because I was so passionate about it. And I agree with you. At one point, it's just louder and louder. And at one point, you're just like, just have to follow the flow. And at one point, you will tell your parents and family and closed ones, well, I don't really have a choice. It's like, I need to go on this road.
Exactly. And figure out what's in there. And in my case, it
Yes.
was absolutely the same. First, I had, my job in marketing, very stable, very secure, very successful. Like my path was like, boom, top business school in Argentina, top business school in France, marketing director by 32. Like the path was boom. And then I had this hobby, spirituality,
Hmm.
manifestation, yoga, my hobbies. And I was so curious and so passionate and always learning, always listening to podcasts. And then that hobby turned out to be, the way I found my purpose and redefined the whole thing. So I'm curious about you. You're a very deep woman. Every time we've had discussions, I always learn from you. So how do you define your purpose in this lifetime?
Well, actually, that's a whole big subject. But I found that going through hypnosis and going through what happened with generation and ancestors, I really found a gem in here because I figured that we have so much of our DNA is shared in our family, actually. And people know that they have the eyes of someone and maybe the hair of someone else, but we know that physically speaking. But what we don't know that much is that we are also carrying a lot of trauma sometimes and a lot of gifts as well from our ancestors. And when we tap into this, it's such gold mines. When you tap into what your ancestor lived, it can really become something like a treasure. And I discovered that changing myself is already good, but changing my system is my family system, because we are all part of a system called the family first. And then I just felt that changing my whole system was changing my life, but also changing the life of others around me.
Mm.
So I think that today, what I'm seeing in what I do is that when you change yourself and then you change your system, you change your family, then it changes also society, because society is based on the structure of families. So by what I'm doing, I really feel that we can change a lot of things in the society when we change things in family, because it's systemic.
Mm.
So that's my biggest dream, would be like that everyone would do family constellations. So
Mm.
if we each work on our system, the society will change
Mm.
eventually.
Absolutely. And this work runs very, very deep because we're shifting energy, shifting trauma, shifting things that are there in the energy of the family. So let's dive into your area of expertise, family constellations. For a person who's never heard about this, maybe they're coming to the podcast and they're like, what is Mercedes talking about this week? What is family constellations? For a person who's never heard about this, how would you describe it, explain how it works?
Yes. Um, so there are two kinds of family constellation. You can do individual session, as we said, and you can do it in groups. In groups, what happens is that the person will come with a subject. Maybe something in his or her life is stuck, or they are repeating patterns and they don't understand why. Or maybe they have something they have felt maybe sad their whole life and they didn't get why, because the life they have is pretty good on paper, if you would. So they come with a subject, and then the person leading the family constellation will ask some questions. And from those questions, she or he will figure out who to put in the family constellation. And other people will actually play your father, your mother, maybe your grandfather, your grandmother. And some people will maybe play some concepts like love or money or peace, maybe. So you have people you don't know who are taking roles for you and who are channeling an energy that will tell something about how is the system. Maybe some people will be very happy in the system. Maybe some people will be very sad. Maybe some people will be very angry. So the person who has brought the subject can see with his or her own eyes what is the unconscious family picture that they have in front of them. And then they can realize some things, but they can also live that in their body. When you have a family constellation going on right in front of you, you can feel a lot of emotion. You can feel a lot of energy going through your body. You can feel like realization, but not only in your head, but also within your body. And that's what I love also with family constellation, is that it opens new pathway also in your body. So, and then you can also have sentences that are being said by the people, some kind of rituals, if you would say. Rituals in the sense that you have to say some things to your ancestors for them to find peace or to find rest, to honor them. Basically, that's why family constellation is in group, and in individual session, you have the same set of people. You have objects or figurines working for you.
It's fantastic. For me, did family constellations, I think, two times in Madrid. It was group once, and then the third time with you, individual. And I
Yeah.
remember the first time I did family constellations, I went there. I didn't know how it worked. They explained me all of these things, but I was like, okay, what's going to happen? And I was just sitting there, having my tea, like expecting, what's going to happen. And then basically they called me to play one of the characters. And I remember I was sitting there warm with my tea, etc. And then I basically went into the scene, and all of a sudden she told me, "Okay, lay down here." I lay down in there, and I started feeling this cold sensation in my body, like shivering, shivering, shivering. I couldn't stop shivering, but it wasn't me, because I was sitting there, with my warm cup of tea, and I was just like shivering, 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 cold, cold, cold. And I was like, oh my, like a part of me was fascinated. The other part of me was like, what the fuck is going on?
What is
Because
happening?
what is actually happening? So people will feel different sensations, different emotions, all of these things that you explained. But what is actually going on? What is the field? What is this thing that makes us move in a certain way or get closer or go further or feel a certain way? What is actually happening?
Yes, so that's important because some people are like, wow, it's magic. And in some sense, it's kind of magic, family constellation, but it's not like some people are thinking it's role play or theater in some ways. So I remember one woman telling me, oh, I'm very bad at role playing. And I told her, well, don't worry, it's nothing to do with that. And then she was channeling so much information. So, yeah, what is happening is that there is what is called the field, as you said. Bert Ellinger, he was the one, yeah, just the creator of family constellation as such as it is today. And when you enter this field or this scene, as you said, in a family constellation, something really intense is happening when you put yourself in that space and you feel safe in that space. You can feel that the facilitator is, securing that space. And when you say yes to incarnate someone, a grandfather, a father, a mother, then something happens. You close your eyes and you let yourself channeling an energy. And in the field, it's like a field of information where every information is there. And you just have to connect with your intention and to say yes, to feel secure. And then the energy is moving through you. And you have like basically nothing else to do than just connect to your body and let it happen. Or just say, what is happening in my body? I want to be close to this person. I've never met her or him, but I really want to hug him or her. Or I never met this person, but I really want to yell at them and I have no idea why.
Mm.
So that's the magic that happens, is that if you let yourself channeling the energy, then you have access to so much information. And I have some people leaving family constellations. I didn't know how powerful I was. It's amazing how powerful human beings are. They can just connect to so much information. And it's such the right information that we get. And some people who know their family are really surprised because it's like they have their family in front of them with strangers, basically. So they're like, how can this happen? How can they know so much about my family when they're complete strangers? So that's the magic of the film, and that's what is happening. But as you said, you can talk a lot about family constellation, right? It's like telling you how I walk. You can never know how to walk if you don't walk exactly, if you don't experience the walking. So I feel family constellation is really something you have to experience for yourself, because you can experience it in many different ways, and you can talk about it, but it's really an experience to live.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And this field that is there and people who are, playing out the scene, is this field always available? Can we tap into these energies at any time? Or is it because you, as a facilitator, you're setting the scene, you're making it safe? Are you calling someone? Are you calling these energies? Is it always there, or do you need to open it as a facilitator?
Actually, it is always there. But at the same time, you have to feel that you're secure to really let yourself channel.
Mm.
So it's important to go to a space. I wouldn't recommend it for people to connect to it in their own house, because you can experience really intense things. So it's better be to have a facilitator, to have the space secure, because the facilitator is also there in terms of ethics and of framework, and it has to be set. So that's how you can really relax and know that you're in good hands,
Mm.
because family constellation has also some rules to follow. And if you don't know the rules, you can do really something that is worse than the situation you came from. So yeah, I would recommend it to just do it in a place where you have a facilitator. But actually, the field of information is always here. And for an example, we know that some scientific discovery has been done in different places in the world at different time, and people could not communicate with each other. And actually, it has shown that the idea is coming from a field of information that is always around us. And that's where we tap into when we are when we are in family constellation. So, and that's how you can feel that it's always there.
It's fascinating, fascinating. How we can access this information, translate it into some form, movement, some information, and then also use it to heal, use it to make things move forward, not just to, okay, let's dive, but it can be so useful, so transformative, so healing for so many people and their families, as you've said. So there's on Netflix, there's this series, Another Self. Someone told me, one of my aunties told me, you need to see this. You're gonna love this. And I went, I saw it, and I absolutely love it. Do you think it represents faithfully what family constellations is, or does it add more prejudice or more misconceptions than it should? What's your view on that series?
Yes. Well, actually, when this series started, I was working in a group called Emergence, where we were doing family constellation and systemic constellations for people and for companies. So we were all wondering how is it going to be, because with hypnosis or family constellation, people can be quite afraid of doing it. So we were like, okay, what are they going to say about it? And we watched it, and we all agreed that the series is really well done, actually. So you have some it's really difficult to make a movie of family constellation, or to film family constellation, because there's invisible stuff happening, so it's not visual. But at the same time, I think that also season 2 is going even a bit deeper into family constellation, and also the symbolic behind what some disease can mean, or something stuck in your life can mean. So I think, yeah, it's a really good series to watch, actually. I would recommend it to someone who would be like, what is family constellation? The only thing is that the questions are not that important. It looks like the facilitator is coming and right away he's putting people not asking any question about their life. And I think some people came to some family constellation group I did with the question. I mean, it felt like kind of magic. So I mean, in this series, in other cells. So I said, yes, it's kind of magic, but there is also rules behind it. And there are also some questions to ask sometime before you even start the family constellation. But all in all, this series is quite well done. And of course, it's a bit, I mean, they're doing you also have the love story that comes with it. And sometimes it goes, the first episode of the season 1 is actually about a disease and curing cancer with family constellation. And I think maybe they went overboard with this, saying like, okay, but at the same time, they show that it doesn't do everything, family constellation in this series. So I think it's, yeah, I would recommend it to
You
watch.
would recommend, and it paints
Yes.
an accurate picture of what this methodology actually is.
Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, so if you need a Netflix series, go check this one out. Another Self. It's a Turkish series. Fantastic music, fantastic actors. And now we know that it's actually accurate in the family
Yes.
constellations methodology. So speaking about all of these like misconceptions that can appear around family constellations, what are the main ones, the biggest misconceptions that people have before they go into a family constellation?
Yes. So about the misconception, the first one I thought about and I told you about is maybe it's role play or theater. And I'm not good at it. Or so it's not like a family drama that you don't play something. You just let yourself channel an energy. So that's important to know. You really don't have anything to do. It's not a hypnosis state as well. You know, you just come with what you have and what you are. And that's also where the magic is. Like you don't need to do anything else than being humans to do family constellation. Then some people are saying maybe it's going to cut family ties. Some people might be afraid of this. Some people think that if they do family constellation, they will discover maybe a secret or something that was hidden, and maybe they won't talk to their family ever again. In fact, it's the contrary, it's the opposite. When you come to family constellation, actually you see some things and you understand some things in your family that give you compassion, empathy, and that brings you closer to your family. So it's also important to know that. Then yeah, that would be. And then the only thing, the next thing that I can see is that people think that it's only about the parents, or some people think they have to come with their family to do family constellation. And you don't have to come with your family. As I told you, it's a stranger who plays a role, or it's an object that plays the role. So, and you can also do another subject. It's not about family. It can be about your company. It can be about your career. It can be about a pain that you have in your body, you know. So it can be broader than only parents.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was going to be my next question, actually. When do you recommend doing a family constellation? How can a person know when this methodology will provide an answer versus, for example, other things, versus, I don't know,
Yes.
hypnosis or versus coaching or versus different? When do we
Yes.
realize maybe there's, because as you said, it can be related to your business, it can be related to your health, you can have an
Yeah.
issue on whatever, relationships. But when do we need to start thinking, maybe I need to look into my family for this topic?
Yeah. Well, when you have beliefs, for example, that you have inherit from your family, beliefs in terms of money or in terms of love, we know we have a lot of those. So whenever you feel stuck and you find yourself around a belief that doesn't feel like it's yours, but it has, you know, people have always told you this and this in your family, then you should really look at it to give you more clarity. It's also when you have a repetitive pattern. You have been in relationship over and over again, and it's always the same thing that is happening. Or you've been like trying businesses and businesses, and each time it fails, and you don't know why. Or you had like big projects, and they never come to an end, and it seems like it's repeating. So then that's a good way to say, okay, I should look into that. Of course, if you have family conflicts or you feel distant to some people, or if someone for some reason in your family, you know, has cut ties and you don't know really why, or you feel there is an emotional weight on the family, something has not been said, then it's really good to do family constellation for this. Yes, so when you have secrets, when you have losses that have been really heavy on the family, someone has died, there was an incident or accident, then you should look into it. And when you see that in your tree, your genealogical tree, when you see some things repeating as well, and it's always the same thing. Well, it was like that for my great grandmother and for my grandmother and for my mother and for me. Then it's a really good point where you should start looking into family constellation. Saying like,
Yes.
okay, it's not only me. It's like it's systemic. It's everyone in my family. Or I see my sister is doing the same, or my brother is doing the same. And then you should really think it's not only me, it's systemic. So it concerns my family.
And something might be normal in the family, but it's not necessarily normal in the world.
Yeah,
So
that's
if there's a
when you
trait,
discover, hey, it's not the same for their family. And in my family, it feels like normal. Everyone does that, but actually, it's
you guys
not.
don't do that? No, we don't. Yes. In
And
my
some
case,
people, yeah.
yes, please go ahead.
I just said some people also feel stuck in therapy and they don't know why. And it's really good to look at it from a different point of view, from a systemic point of view.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I know that when I have something like a pattern that is repeating, I like to think, okay, maybe we need to look into the family with family constellations and see what is going on. And maybe we need to look into previous time lives. So then I like to go into Akashic records and see if there's something in there
Wow.
as well. So sometimes depending on the topic, if the topic is too too entangled, we need we need several reasons. But family
Yes.
constellations has definitely, I mean, I've used it once when my love life was a mess. It was like messy relationship after toxic relationship. And I was like, what is going on? And I did a
Mm.
family constellations and I saw very clearly what was going on. Things that weren't mine, things that I was carrying, in
Mm.
this case, from my mom. I love my mom, but there was something, a pain from her that I was carrying that was not my pain to carry. And then I got rid of that. And then, well, now I have a fiance, now everything's good. Then the second time that I did family constellations, I was trying to find more information about my purpose, what to do. And actually, this podcast was born thanks to a family constellation because,
Really
yes,
amazing.
I've just remembered
So you're giving it back now
because
by doing a
basically
podcast on
I
family
had I
constellation.
had completely forgot, but basically I went into a family constellation saying, yeah, I don't know what I want to do with my life, with my purpose. I was really curious, what am I going to do with my life? And then she said, okay, the purpose is like too broad. Let's bring it down into more like concrete ideas. Which
Mhm.
ideas do you have in mind? And I said, okay, the podcast. At that point, I only had the idea of the podcast. And then we started constellating the podcast and how the podcast wanted to move and who the podcast wanted to be. And basically, yeah, I
I
actually
love it.
found the courage, let's say, to create the first episode of
Mhm.
Blisstopia podcast, thanks to a family constellation that gave me more clarity, more, yeah, more creativity and more drive to actually do it and to go from a simple idea. We have so many ideas into actually,
Mm.
okay, this is a thing. And now the podcast has 3 years, listeners in 78 countries. So it was thanks to a family constellation.
Amazing. And it's also good that you give the example of constellation with a podcast because most people would not think that it would be possible to do constellation. Well, really, you can make a podcast talk and say what they want and, move in the space. It's quite amazing what you can do in family constellation.
So let's imagine a woman listening to this episode and she's curious about her purpose, her career choices. She's basically in that period that we've both had, this period when you had your hypnosis, you had your constellations on the side, but you still had your job. Or in my case, I had the marketing on one side and all of these ideas on the other side. So
Mm.
how can we use family constellations in that period where we know that this thing that we're doing is not the thing that we should be doing, but we don't know yet what we are here for. So how can we
Right.
use family constellations for this extremely deep human
Mm.
question?
Well, the first thing you can get with family constellation is clarity around your purpose. Because sometimes you're carrying, as you said in your love life with your mom, you're carrying things that do not belong to you. So sometimes you're carrying things and you do something in your career to please your parents or your grandparents, or because, in the family, everyone has always done this or that. So I will do it as well. So it's loyalty, and you want to get rid of unconscious loyalty to be able to do your own stuff, your own things. So that can give you clarity on where do I carry things that are not mine and I should give back to my family. The role of family constellation is really for everyone to be sovereign and to carry their destiny and their story.
Mm,
So that's really powerful in that sense. It's really empowering in that sense that you can really carry what is yours and leave it to your family what is not yours.
mm,
So you can really entangle maybe some sense of belonging because you're doing some kind of things. So it's really about stripping apart what is not yours to really find what is yours and what is your deepest calling.
mm,
And if you have an idea of maybe the calling or and you're not sure, you can also in family constellation symbolically check pathway. Maybe it's this way, maybe it's this way, and check in family constellation how does this respond actually, and where are the blocks if they are in. So if you have even a small idea, maybe I'm curious about this and that, as we said, it always starts with curiosity. How does it look when you do a family constellation? Do you want to go to this way, or are you afraid? If you're afraid, why are you afraid? And if stuck in the same situation in your comfort zone, why are you stuck in this comfort zone? Is there any inner conflict? Oh, I want to stay loyal to my family and I want to be loved. And if I'm doing what I really want, maybe I'm not going to be part, I won't belong. So it's also good to do family constellation to see that you establish a strong sense of belonging, whatever are your choices and whatever you decide to do. And that gives you really a lot of strength to go towards what you want to do in your life.
Fantastic. So beautiful. So beautiful. And I think this is going to bring a lot of peace and clarity. And the beautiful thing about constellations is that, as you said, you can constellate people, you can constellate concepts, and you see things playing in there, but you also feel things in your body. So it's not like you need to make something intellectual. You will feel, you will see, you will feel it in your body. And if you have a question, you will have the answers right there in your body. You will see the scene, you will see what's going on, and you're gonna feel it in your body, and you'll know what's the right thing to do. So
Yes,
it's a fantastic,
exactly.
fantastic tool. So
And some people are afraid of leaving their head because it had helped them so much. And, they want to be analyze everything. But it's actually really good for everyone to go back to its own body and what it says because it has so much wisdom. And you can feel even in individual session, you can really feel if someone is not feeling right in your body, you cannot move the objects if it's not the right way. So you come back to trusting your body and what it says because it speaks really loud during family constellation.
absolutely. And we've talked about family constellations and systemic constellations. That's the nerd
Yes.
in me, but what's the difference between those two?
So family constellation is really about your family, your ancestors, and it can be also your cousins. It's really about your family system. But so the family is the first system we're in. But actually, we're part of many systems. We are part also of systems with friends. We are part of systems with companies. Maybe we are a business. And we are not alone in this universe. We are always connected to some people or something. So systemic constellation means that it's broader than just your family history. And also you can, as I said, work on concepts. And you can also have a constellation where it's only concepts and no member of your family whatsoever are in this constellation. Some people really like it because it gives them a sense of perspective on their life or on their business. And it doesn't involve their parent or their family because they know they don't want to or they don't think it will help them. So that's how you see that for businesses, for example, it's really good that you can do systemic constellation.
Fantastic, fantastic. And you've been doing this for over 8 years of practice. Can you share 2, 3 stories? I'm really curious about this, maybe without giving any names to keep everybody under confidentiality.
Sure.
But can you give 2, 3 stories that really stood out in these 8 years of practice?
Yes. Well, as we were talking about family systemic constellation. So, for example, a woman came to me because she had two businesses. One where she had put her heart in the business and it was not really making money. And the other one was it was not her heart involved, but she was doing a lot of money. And she came because she really wanted to be able to live with this new business where she had put a lot of heart in it. And actually, we didn't had to put any family members for this. We had to put like the money the heart and the mind, and actually, and the business. And actually, for the money to come, the heart and the mind were not really at ease with each other. They were actually fighting. There was a conflict between. And actually, they were acting that like they were siblings, jealous of each other. Like, if it's him, it's not me. If it's me, it's not him. So they were really fighting in some way. And it was interesting for the woman to see that she just had to really connect her mind and her heart for her business to be at ease and the money to come. Otherwise, the money was like, no, I'm not coming if both are not involved. And they were no members of the family, but it was really good for her to see that at one point they were like, okay, I'm coming, and at one point the heart and the mind could connect and the business was so happy about it. And then money flowed. So it was also interesting to see. So that's one story that's
Fantastic.
then
I know many
that I
women
can,
in the audience will resonate with that.
yes. Because sometimes you're thinking, if I love what I do too much, or if I put a lot of heart, then it won't make so much money. So we really have to reconsider that. Then another story that I can think of is a man coming because he had a business and he had investors, and he had two men in front of him representing the investing part in his business. And he had a very important meeting that was coming the next week. And he had no idea how to handle it because he was in a situation that was not that easy to discuss with those two men. And actually, during the family constellation, he could see that one man had not the same vision as he had at all. And the other had the same value, the same human values as he did. So he could see in the family constellation that he could really take the connection with the man he had the same value with and make him someone he could rely on to face the other one and have the business being really, that the business could, how can I say that, flourish in this way with the investing part. At the end, he was like, it's something that I was feeling, but the constellation is so revealing that I can only agree, and really, it was eye-opening for him because you can always sense it unconsciously. But then when you have it in front of your eyes, it's really revealing. You cannot say, I haven't seen that. So it was really helpful for him, for his meeting, to be able to see that and to rely on that.
Fantastic. So interesting.
Yeah.
So interesting. I didn't know that we could use it to this level of precision on business and this kind of like really, even like really tangible things. Like I have a meeting next week, a difficult
Yes.
meeting next week. Let's see who's going to be there and what's their energy. It's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. And he was taking so many notes about what, each of the men were saying, and even what the business was saying in front of those two men. Because he had the constellation, everything you said is so important.
Yeah. And I'm getting goosebumps when you say, let the business speak, what does the business want? What's the best for the business?
Yeah,
Fantastic. So
exactly.
beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, this is giving me more energy. I think I'm going to book a constellation soon. So if listeners want to find you online, they want to learn, they want to do a constellation with you, where can they find you? Where's like the best place to hang out with you?
Well, I have my Instagram account. It's Marine Constellation. And here you can also write me, but you can also take an appointment with me. I'm on a platform called Medicine, which is like the Doctor Lib in France for all the people working with soft medicine. And then you also have I have actually a website called marineduteil.com.
Perfect. Perfect. And basically, with Marine, we've decided to offer you something for the listeners. If you want to do a
Yeah.
constellation with her, you want to try this fantastic, super powerful methodology that I've tried myself, and I know how deep is the methodology, and I also know how Marine works. So I'm definitely recommending this. So if you do a constellation with her, I will be offering you guys a free session, a free 60-minute session. The value of the session that I'm offering to you is 200 euros. So you do the constellation with Marine, and on the back of that, you will receive an additional session with me. It's just a way to add value to the community, keep you guys growing, expanding, meeting fantastic people, fantastic women doing fantastic things, and hopefully giving you more answers in whatever you want to find answers, whether that's your business, your career, your purpose, other areas of your life, relationship, health, whatever it might be. I can only recommend working with Marine. And I'm backing that with a free session if you go ahead and you do that. So,
And so generous of you. And also, I want to add that even though when you're working on the love part, for example, sometimes it also work with your business. Then, it goes sometimes hand in hand that you're working on the loving relationship, and then it has a positive impact as well on your business. So sometimes it's really surprising.
absolutely, absolutely. Things are more connected than we think. Different
Yes.
areas of our lives are more connected. And when we work on one, we also see the ripple effects on all the other ones.
Exactly.
So I have some questions, last questions for you, Marine, that are super
Sure.
intuitive. So first thing that comes to your body, to your heart, will be the right one. So are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm so excited.
Fantastic. So when was the last time you felt bliss?
Actually, it was yesterday. Yesterday, I was out dancing in my living room because I drew an oracle card, and it was like connect to your femininity while dancing. And yesterday, I was dancing in my living room, and then my partner arrived when I was in the middle of dancing, and he was like, "Yeah," and he came to join the dance.
So beautiful.
And it was just out of the shower and it was dancing with me like this. We were having so much fun. And I was like, wow, that's the life I designed,
So beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. The second one is, can you think of one idea that fundamentally changed your life?
One idea. Yes, I can say that because recently, actually, it changed my life, even though it was recently. But I heard a woman say, whenever you're having a good day and something happens to you and you're saying, it ruined the whole day. And it's so sad. Why don't we flip the story and say, I was having such a bad day and I was tired or I was sad. And then something happened and it just ruined my sadness. And it was all joy during the whole day. And I absolutely loved it. I was like, yeah, why would sadness and, something happening during our day ruined everything? And why don't we let joy ruin everything? And
Ruin the sadness.
yeah, ruin the sadness and have it, during the rest of our day. So I
Love
really
it.
love that.
So beautiful, so optimistic, so beautiful. And if you could choose one rule that everybody in the world needs to obey, what would it be?
Well, put yourself in someone else's shoes before answering or judging. Yeah. And I think that's also the beauty of family constellation is that sometimes you play really hard people or that have done like, hard things. But when you put yourself in their shoes and you have seen their story, what they have endured in their life, you're more understanding, you'll have more empathy. And that's really a quality that you can develop doing family constellation. I think it's really beautiful because you have so much more love in your heart to
Or
work on.
compassion. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Farin, for coming to the show, for sharing all of this fantastic wisdom with you. I know that I want to do a family constellation soon. I'm sure the listeners will want to do a family constellation soon.
They're welcome.
You're in good hands with Marine. So thank you so much for coming to the show. It's been a truly true pleasure to learn from you.
Yes. Thank you for having me. It was a delight.
Fantastic.
And thank you for the last question. That's so good.
I will see my listeners in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining this week. And in the meantime, in Blisstopia we trust. If you loved this episode, spread the word, share the episode with a friend who would love to hear this, subscribe to the show, and leave a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or YouTube. This real quick action on your side helps the podcast grow, reach more women around the world, and it would literally make my day. I will see you next Friday for the next episode. And in the meantime, in Blisstopia we trust.